Hey, 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 welcome to Becoming a Powerhouse Brand podcast. I'm Jackie Laws, personal brand visibility and empowerment mentor for heart-led, impact-driven entrepreneurs who know they are here to change lives with their magic and build a dream life by design while they do it. This is where we blend soul, strategy, and subconscious work to help you stand out as the leader you already are. We talk identity shifts, confidence, energetics, and the real behind the scenes of building a brand that feels aligned, magnetic, and apologetically you. If you are ready to take center stage in your life and business, you are in the right place. Let's dive into today's episode. Hi guys, welcome to another episode. On today's episode, I'm really excited because we talk a lot about empowerment on this show. We talk about spiritual practices, but one thing I don't actually dive into that much is shadow work. And on today's episode, we have got Niki Kinsella, who is an intuitive, spiritual and business mentor. She's a #1 bestselling author, TEDx speaker and founder of the Feminine Energy Guide, and a multi-six-figure spiritual business owner. She empowers female entrepreneurs to shift limiting beliefs, to realign their energy and achieve their own version of soul-aligned success. So, Niki, I'm so excited to have you on today to dive into this topic because I think healing is such a huge topic to talk about. And we often talk about the end goal, what we're trying to achieve, but actually part of that journey is very much the shadow work, isn't it?
Oh yeah, most of it is. And I think a lot of people think of all the fluffy rainbow farts and everything being all gorgeous and actually it's like going down a hill backwards in a wheelbarrow with a box on your head. It's just, um yeah, and the stuff that we know we need to look at, or the things that we're looking away from. So this is why it's called shadow work, because it's all the shit that's over there in the dark that we're like, oh, we'll just leave that behind and carry on. But actually, energetically, it holds us back because there's beliefs around the things that have happened or whatever is in there that we've shamed ourselves for or we've just not let go of. And it's for me, when I started looking at all of those shadow shitty parts that I didn't ever want to speak out loud, that's what set me free
Yeah.
to be myself and to not fear things anymore, because we don't want to be like found out or for people to judge us, or but everyone's had a past, and we've all done things we wish we hadn't have done, or we've all done things because it was what kept us safe in that moment. There's so much, everyone's got so many, has had so many different experiences in their lives that there's loads of shit in the shadows.
Yeah, absolutely. And we're so good at burying our head in the sand, aren't we? And just like, oh, I'll deal with that later. It's not important right now. Let's just focus on this nice stuff because it makes me feel good.
Yeah. And we push it all down and push it all down. So, emotion is like energy in motion. And when we don't deal with it, it can cause a physical dis-ease in the body. So Chinese medicine, I'm not an expert in this, by the way, but I love little bits and bobs about it. So depending on what the emotion is, it stores in a certain part of the body. And then that becomes, that part of the body can have like the physical disease. Or I work a lot with the chakras, like understanding the chakras changed my life. So is it all right to just do a little bit of a
Yeah, go for it.
timeline? So, oh God, from when I was born until now on this little timeline, I was bullied at school. This isn't a sob story, by the way, because and then my nan was a narcissist. I married my own narcissist, and there was a lot of sort of people pleasing, coping mechanisms, staying small, not speaking out to stay safe in those sort of first 25 years of my life, if you like. So my coping mechanisms started when I was about 13, other than the people pleasing, and it was alcohol. So just drinking. There was no internet, there was no Wi-Fi, no one knew what you were doing. When I was 13, I was getting pissed behind the bus stop, it was all, and that sort of like just took the pressure off and made everything okay. And I come from a family of drinkers, so that was just what I saw as the thing to do, and it was sort of acceptable in those days. And then came drugs, found the party scene, and that I had some of the most amazing times of my life. But what goes up must come down. So the what was escapism for me, so living with a narcissistic partner, of a weekend we'd go out and party, and that's all I looked forward to. But like I say, what goes up must come down. So my anxiety, I was constantly in and out of the doctors getting antidepressants because I was just putting a plaster on everything. and I didn't even realize like all of the stuff that had happened, like my mum and stepdad splitting up, and my mum being with an abusive partner, and everyone's got a story, haven't they?
Yeah.
So all of those different things that I'd blocked out, um, I didn't remember till I was in my 20s that I'd had a this. I'm just going to put a trigger warning out there. I'd had um I'd been abused by a friend, and that that all popped up, and I was like, right, okay. So it's all of that stuff that we just don't want to feel because it feels like shit. It's really dark, it's really heavy. We don't have time normally in that moment because we're surviving. So we push it all into what's called the shadows. And then when we get to a point in our lives where we're feeling a bit safe or things are going well, something will pop up, and it's like a little turd that doesn't want to go down the toilet. You're like, oh my God, what's that? It's like, where's this all of a sudden come from? And it's because when your nervous system's safe, it's like, oh, okay, well, we can get rid of some of this shit now. So it can just start giving you little memories or showing stuff up, or there's a loop, there's a cycle, there's something that you're doing again and again that you can't break. You don't know why you keep having these same relationships, or you're drawing to fixing people, or whatever it is that your behaviors are. And it's come from these things that have happened that we've got beliefs and stories about. Um, and then there's the whole, our subconscious mind is formed by the age of 7. So all the shit that's happened to us before we were 7 forms our beliefs. And I was
Yeah.
like, oh my God, I'm fucked. Like, oh my God. So I started my healing journey after my daughter was born. She's 12 now, but I can remember looking at her and going, oh my God, like I don't want you to have a life like me. And my life wasn't particularly bad at that time, but I was doing things I didn't want to do.
Yeah.
Um, and she changed my life. And then very quickly afterwards, I lost my dad and I lost my mum, my biological dad and my mum. Horrible. He had a autoimmune disease and she had terminal lung cancer. So watching
Oh,
them sort of deteriorate made me realize that life is so fucking precious and you
yeah.
only get one life. And I was like, oh my God, I'm the oldest female lineage in my family now. And that made me shit myself, but also shoved a rocket up my arse and made me realize that if anyone was going to make any changes, it had to be me. I had to be the change. And it's that I love this saying, but be the change you want to see in the world. And you've
Yeah.
got it because only you can do it. I was the most negative person. Everything, was half full. We never had any money. We never had anything. Everything was bad. Everything was hard. And I found Reiki, I found yoga, I found meditation. And then these became my coping mechanisms. Yoga got me sober. When I became a yoga teacher, I trained in all of these things that were helping me along my journey. Um, but yeah, I could put a yoga class on a Friday night, a Saturday morning, and a Sunday morning. So I couldn't have a drink at the weekend when everyone else was drinking, and that really saved me. But the chakras was where like they're like my passion. They've shaped the whole of my business pretty much. Because when I first started on my healing journey and I was learning about them, and it was like, and if you've got this symptom, then this chakra's fucked. And if you've got this one, then this one's broken, and that one's that. And I was like, oh, all of mine is broke, which is really normal. But understanding the signs that my body had been trying to give me that I didn't know and I wasn't able to listen to, like sciatica for 10
Yeah.
years. My root chakra, I was nervous, I was in fear all the time, I was worried about everything. My solar plexus, I had IBS symptoms. I was having constant throat infections and all things like that. And that was because I couldn't speak my truth. So all of these, and I was like, oh my God, I need to help other people. The world needs to know this stuff, and it's so easy. And once you know it, it changes your life.
Yeah.
But it can really just shine a light. But I mean, the shadow work's slightly different. But this, oh, yeah,
It
everything.
is incredible. And I think for anyone that's listening to this now that's like, I've heard of chakras, I don't really know what it is or anything. How would you kind of explain what they are? All I get in my head is the image, when you see the picture of the person sitting down, it's
Yeah.
got all the color coded bits.
Yeah.
What is your chakra?
So chakras are this, I call them like the 7 main energy centers in the body, and they develop at different times of your life. So your root chakra develops between the ages of 0 and 7, and that's all about safety and security. So if you think about that part of your life, um, And again, if your root chakra doesn't have a solid foundation, so if you've had a bit of a shit show when you were a kid, this can wobble the whole of your life. So you don't have solid foundations. You feel like you need to move house or leave jobs or leave relationships, and you just like you can't settle because you don't have the solid foundations. The sacral chakra, which is the next one up, which is in your womb or your sacral, that's all about connection and belonging. But I call it the cupboard under the stairs because it's where we shove all the shit we don't want to deal with. It's all about our emotions. And as a woman, sometimes we can give ourselves away in different ways to feel that connection or to feel like we belong. But it's normally where as kids between the age of 7 and 14, we find our tribe, where do we fit in? It's all of that. But as we grow up, it is that anything emotional goes into that space. So if you think of um, polycystic ovaries, infertility, all of that can be a physical dis-ease of where we're shoving all the shit that we've not dealt with our whole life. And that's what happened to me.
Yeah.
It's in my book. But and then your solar plexus is the next one, which is like where your stomach is, so between your belly button and your heart, and that's your personal power center. So this is all about, it's where your ego is born. So think of between the ages of 14 and 21. You're either a little wallflower or you're a cocky little so and so, and you're normally like a little bit in between because you're finding yourself and you're finding your power. And this is one of the most common ones that's had its head kicked in because if you think about the relationships that we've been in or what we've been told as a kid, a lot of our power is taken away. Sometimes we're not allowed to be free. We don't know ourselves. We struggle to make decisions. So that's your solar plexus. Your heart is your heart, but it's about giving and receiving. And a lot of people's hearts have been stomped on or hurt, or they don't feel safe to love. So they build what's called a spiritual heart wall around them. So nothing gets in and nothing gets out. So that's really interesting about the heart. And it's about forgiveness of self and others. And that can be really hard to let go of, but it sets you free, doesn't it? Because
Yeah, 100%.
your throat's your communication center. So what you're not saying builds up in here and it can create a bung or like a block. So all the good shit that's trying to come out gets stuck here. It's like, no, 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 we don't talk about any of that because it's not safe.
Yeah.
This can be from someone saying like children should be seen and not heard or shut up or that's a stupid thing to say or so think about again going back to being a child, all of these beliefs, we hold them all in these chakras. So that is often very, very blocked. Or it can be too open and you've got the shit chatters and the gossipers and blah, 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 because it's just your third eye and your crown, which is like in between your eyes and the top of your head, that is all about connection to the divine, but your connection to self. So what you see, your intuition, when you get a thought or you get like a little download and you go, oh my God,
Yeah.
I've got an idea. It's that. So for me, this connection, believing that we are part of something bigger, we get a download, it pops in our head, we go, oh my God, I've got an idea. We talk about it, we fall in love with it, we believe in it, we create it, and then we birth it. So we bring it into this. So that to me is the whole line of the chakras.
Amazing.
There's a block in one of them. Imagine in my book, I've described it as a slug climbing inside a hose at night. It's like, oh, this is nice and cozy. And in the night, it goes a bit crusty and it gets stuck. So in the morning, when you put your hose on, it's just like trickling out the end because there's slugs taking a beating inside the hose. But that's the block. So we've got to get the slug out
Yeah.
to make the water flow. And anything can happen in any moment to misalign us, to block us, to whatever. But if you can notice how you're feeling every day and just tap in and know what they mean. And they show up in your business as well in different ways. They're just amazing.
I love that explanation. That makes it so much clearer to actually understand what they are. Because I mean, I know I myself have so many books on chakras, and it's just like a massive textbook thing. I'm like,
Yeah.
I'm realistically never going to get myself through that. So even just hearing your explanation has just made it make more sense.
Yay.
With regards to things like shadow work, I know a lot of the people that start a healing journey, it's normally caused from I'm just not going to live like this anymore. Like, this cannot be my life. It's almost that rock bottom moment, isn't it? Of realizing, right, I am the one that can make the change in my life. Like, I need to do something about it. So, for those that are in that point of, okay, I need to move forward, this is the goal that I want to achieve. But actually, you need to then address those shadows. Is this like it's almost then adding to the rock bottom moment that you're already potentially in, just to literally get all of that out? Is it something that can be done over time, or yeah, how did it work for you?
Oh God. So it depends what it is. I'm finding with people, sometimes it can be shifted very quickly. And it's just a case of, so this is going to sound dead cheesy, but you've got to feel it to heal it. So if you think about that thing that you've put in the shadow, oh, where's my dog clicking with his little toenails? Sorry. If you've had something happen to you that it's not been safe for you to feel, you've shoved it down. So you've not felt it. You've gone, "Bleh," just
Yeah,
put it down. So now the reason you haven't looked at it is because you're scared of how it's going to feel. So it's finding someone that you feel safe to work with, that knows what they're doing, that can hold you safe and help you to revisit that. But there's loads of different ways to do it. Like my favorite is inner child, and parts work. So just taking people back to that moment and then subconsciously rewriting it. Because that then collapses the timeline from that thing happening. You've created a new memory or feeling around it, and it's just like poof, it's gone.
mhm,
And sometimes there's ripple effects from that. So, but honestly, hypnotherapy changed my life, which is why I became a advanced hypnotherapist, because it's just we hold so much power in our thoughts and we don't realize like literally what we think we become. And
yeah,
it, you know, spelling, because words are spells, and abracadabra, your words become things. It's just all of that. And when we can understand that and attach that to the shadows as well, it's like it just all sort of hold hands.
yeah,
Um, but yeah, there's a lot of stuff that's happened to us as kids that we don't realize. And sometimes we don't know what it is. And that's why the hypnotherapy and the subconscious work is so powerful, because we go in and we're shown.
yeah. Yeah, I had an experience a few months ago actually where I did a little bit of inner child healing work, and we actually went back to a moment that was causing a block for me personally, which was not feeling good enough. And I knew there were so many moments, like when you think of that phrase of I don't feel good enough, how many things could you probably couldn't even count how many times that happens when you're a child, where you don't get the right grades or somebody laughs at you or something happens. So there's so many different instances in your childhood where you've experienced that, and it forms that belief of I'm not good enough because of all these things that happened in my childhood. But there was one thing that actually came up to me that I had no memory of. Obviously I did, but consciously I had no memory of it, and it was a sports day where I was almost pressured into doing a high jump as part of sports day by my teacher, because he said, "Oh, we need to get an extra person. Go on, you can do it." And I did it, and I got laughed at because I just did such a bad job. And that had stuck with me and caused this belief. But I honestly, until that came up in this session, I had no memory of that whatsoever. There was no way I would have even considered that that would have stemmed from there. So, like you say, the subconscious work is so powerful, isn't it? It's so important to be able to identify the root cause and where that even stems from so that you can actually heal and move through it.
Exactly. And each of the chakras holds their own emotions and limiting beliefs around different things. So if you think of safety and security, so for example, an emotion would be abandonment. But if I said to you the word abandonment, your subconscious will give you something straight away that
Yeah.
you can think of. So I've created something, my own modality called the freedom sequence, where we work through intensively each of the chakras, removing it was called Shift the Shit, but I changed it to the freedom sequence.
Shift the shit.
But Shift the Shit describes what it does basically, because we go in and we clean out, what we can from each of the
Yeah.
chakras. So think about cleaning out your hose, and then we do a whole month of coaching. But all of that stuff, like you don't know what is going to come up from that emotion until it's said to you, and then you go, "Oh my God." But there's a way of finding what emotion your subconscious is looking for or wants us to look at, is or sort of is in your aura that day, because like I say, everything changes every day.
Yeah.
um, but it's so powerful.
Yeah. What would you say to somebody that has listened to this today and has just thought, okay, I know that things can be so much better. I know I've got so much more potential. There's something holding me back. I don't know what it is, but I just need to move through it so I can become this next version of myself. What would be the very first thing you would recommend that person does?
With me or with anyone?
Just in general.
Um, Probably find somebody they trust to work with to do the subconscious work, because I think, like what we were just saying, it's hard to do it yourself. Even I don't do my own. Like if I've got something a niggle or whatever, I'll go to one of my friends who do all this stuff and go, can you just
Yeah.
help me out? Because we all need somebody, we
Yeah.
can't do it ourselves. So, and I think, start with shadow work. It can be anything. If you're stuck, um, there's a reason why you're stuck, or there's a reason that's holding you back. And I'm an intuitive healer, so I can feel what people are feeling in their bodies, and sort of take them straight to the block, and then look at what the chakra it's in and talk it through that way sometimes. Or sometimes I'll just say to people, I feel like it's this and this means that, and they go, I know what it is. And it's just that, like they don't know what to look for, or they don't know where to start. Do
Yeah.
you know what I mean? Because it's like a needle in a haystack. There's something,
Yeah.
I don't even know where to look or how to find it. And it's that, isn't it? So I can feel quite a bit in your throat,
Oh,
actually.
really?
Yeah, sorry. I didn't mean to just unintentionally tap in, and I always ask for consent, but as we were talking, my throat's just gone.
That's
Um,
really interesting because I'm working on some things at the moment behind the scenes. I'm desperate to get out there, but it's not quite ready. I've got like some things that I'm working through before I share it. So yeah, that's really interesting. You said that. Amazing. Um, I think part of the work that happens when you are healing and doing all of this work, it is like you say, this is not just about helping your business to grow. This is like a life-changing thing, which is why I know we talked about this before we hit record, but about why I've created my event Light Leaders, because there are so many incredible people that are doing this work and it is life-changing. It literally does. And it's not just your current life, this will impact the lives of future generations because you're breaking that cycle, aren't you? And so much of, like, for me especially, some of my shadow work that I've had to work through and I am working through is actually past generational. So it's not even mine to have, but it's been brought down through generations. That is then a healing process that you have to go through, but you do get an opportunity to move through that and make a change and actually become a new version so that your children then don't have that to carry on themselves.
and your kids watch you doing the work.
Yeah.
They go, oh, okay. And I don't know, my kids side eye me all the time because I'm like the proper weird mom. Um, but I hear them saying things to their friends sometimes that I say. If I'm on a call and they're upstairs or whatever, or they'll just, I don't know, they'll just hear me speaking to someone on the phone or whatever, and then I'll hear them saying it, and I'm like, oh, like
Yeah.
they're so emotionally intelligent, and they've got such good boundaries. Like I was I've always been like an empath, but never really understood what that means. I just felt everything from everyone. Um, and I think growing up in the family home that I did was why, because it was just, I had to keep myself sort of safe and say the right thing and not rock the boat and not upset
Yeah.
anybody and stuff like that. Whereas they're free to say what they want, and they do it in a conversation way, like, Mom, I don't like that. Meh, 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 meh. And I'm like, oh, okay. And we'll have a conversation about it instead of being like, no, this is the way, or you can't. It's such a safe space. And I'm just so fucking grateful that it's that, because they'll go on now to have that, and to know that, like Daisy's 12, she's got a little boyfriend, and he did something she didn't like the other day, and she's like, no, that's not okay. He doesn't get to say that to me. And I was like, oh, go on, Queen. I was like,
I love it when you can see it in your own children that you're like, oh, yes, this work I've been doing, it's not just me. It is that ripple effect, isn't it?
yeah, and it's already happening. And I'm just like, oh, I'm so grateful. But I know from my family trauma, like there was a lot. Like my mum was completely controlled by my nan. God bless them both. They're not here now. But that showed me I don't know, I've had to undo that myself
Yeah.
because I was a massive people pleaser. I needed permission before I did anything. I used to ask everybody what they thought. I didn't know myself. And now I don't need to ask anybody because within an instant, my body's gone bleh or yay, like a
Yeah.
pig or internally vomited, you know, it's just
Yeah.
like, I know, and that's what I help my clients to do as well, is to trust themselves because once they can tap in, know what it feels like for them, what's their yes and what's their no, and how are their bodies trying to sort of communicate with them and where's the blocks and, you know, giving themselves permission. That was one of the things someone said to me when I very first started out on my business journey. I just lost my dad and my mum. And I was like, and I want to do this, but this, and I want to do that, but that. And she
Yeah.
went, you don't need permission. I was like, oh my God, no one had ever said that to me before. It was like shackles breaking off my wrists and turning into butterflies and just flying off. I was like, and from that moment, I felt a bit freer. And I was like, oh, okay. And I started noticing about who I was saying things to and what they were saying to me, and then my decision. So I stopped. I always say people unintentionally piss on your bonfire. Like they don't mean to. They give a shit, don't they? And they don't want you
Yeah.
to get hurt or make a mistake. But actually, sometimes we've got to make mistakes to find the lesson or the blessing or whatever it is.
Yeah.
Or we've just got to trust that it'll work and just fucking do it anyway because life's so short, you know, and it's all of that, isn't it?
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. What is the first thing that you do with clients when they come to you? If they're like, right, I'm not taking this anymore, I need to do something about it. Nikki, how can you help? Like, what is the first step?
I'd book them in for what I call an intuitive healing, which is it's about 90 minutes, but I tap into them and we'll find their blocks and we'll do like a mini session of the freedom sequence. And what that normally does is pulls out a few things, undoes a few knots, and shines a light into a little bit of the darkness for them to go, that's where I need to start. Because sometimes there's just a lot and it's
Yeah.
just finding the first thing to deal with. And then normally there's a queue coming out the shadows of all these little things, just like, I'm next, pick
And
me.
another thing.
Yeah, I bought me mate. You know, it's like fucking hell.
It's such a lot of work though, and I think particularly like most of the people I work with are women. A lot of them have started their businesses because they didn't have an opportunity to go back to work after maternity leave, or they had young children that had just started school. So they've carried this, I don't want to say the word baggage, but it's a lot, isn't it? It's a lot of stuff that they've carried through not healing internally from birth and labor and all of the stuff that goes with actually having children, raising them, making everybody else a priority, all the stuff you have to deal with when you're running a business. Like there's just so much that you have to take on. And I think it's very easy, particularly in this day and age, we see so much external noise about you need this strategy, you need that strategy. And it's very easy to focus on the strategy when actually the main thing of your strategy should be working on you and focusing on your internal healing, because then when you actually feel good and you're aligned, you're going to be able to implement those strategies and get the results. Because I honestly believe, I'm speaking from my own experience as well as other people that have spoken to me, is you can have the most incredible strategy that absolutely works for 100% of people that do it, but you might be that one person that doesn't actually feel connected to it, that you have got a lot of shadow work that you need to be doing, and you might action every single step of that strategy and not get the results. And it's not a you thing, it's not even a strategy thing, it's not even the person you're working with. So often it is because you've got these hidden blocks that you don't even know are there, and that
Feel like dropping the mic. Do you know what I mean? But it's exactly that as well. And what holds hands with it is your nervous system. So I got diagnosed with ADHD 2 years ago, but I didn't realize a lot of my coping mechanisms was nervous system regulation. Um,
Wow.
so I've been using a lot of my spiritual tools like breath work, meditation, grounding, essential oils, you know, watching me diet, things like that have all really, really helped with my ADHD. It's like taming the squirrel, so to speak. And that was what my TEDx talk was called last year. And I did it dressed as a squirrel. And it was all about like, I didn't realize. And then all the dots came together. But it's about feeling safe as well. So it's about having someone who's aware of how to keep your nervous system safe. Because the reason you're not looking at those things is because every time you think about it, you either shit yourself or your inner bitch tries to straddle your face and tell you you're not good enough. And you're like, oh, so you just don't. You
Yeah.
just stuck. So having those tools as well, just to keep yourself safe and going forwards, because when you look at your trigger, it's normally something from a shadow. So someone might say something or someone's doing something, you're like, oh, look at them. And you're like, oh, hang on, why has that triggered me? And it could be because somebody said something when you were 5. So there's your point.
Yeah.
There you go back. So your triggers, and the things that your inner bitch chats to you can actually be really amazing tools if you cannot react to them and just go, thank you for that. I'm just going to write that down and I'm just going to journal on that for a little bit. And then, oh my God, I didn't even
Yeah.
realize. And it's that unraveling, but being safe enough to do that. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, 100%. I have loved this episode. I think this is going to be one that people are going to listen to again and again. Niki, how can people connect with you? How can they find you online? Where's the best place to connect with you?
Facebook, probably Niki Kinsella. Yeah, just drop me a DM, drop me a message. That's where I spend most of my time.
Amazing. And you said you've got a book as well. What is the book called?
The Feminine Energy Guide.
Awesome. I will pop all the links so that people can grab a copy of your book, connect with you online in the show notes below. If you have listened to this episode and you found this really helpful and you'd love to have a conversation with Niki about helping to move through those shadows and actually start your healing process, or even just progress in the healing process you've already started, then please do reach out to Niki. Make sure that you leave a review on the podcast if you've enjoyed this episode, and I will see you in the next episode. Thanks so much.
Thank you.
Bye.